Ah, finally. A video that my base audience of friends and family will not understand at all. I've made it no secret that I had an Undertale phase. I've mentioned it a few times and also am actively admitting it now. I don't know when I first discovered Undertale, but I do know I made a playlist to compile the Sans Christmas Party comic dubs in like 2016, so I've been around for a while. Fucking fandom grandpa over here. I'd say from like 2016 to 2018, I was pretty much obsessed with Undertale. I'd never actually played the game, but I'd watch every Let's Play I could. I'd look at all the theories about how Wayne Gaster was pushing to the core by Kara and the valuable knowledge that Sans is in fact Ness. And I was an absolute motherfucking fiend for comic dubs. And for like 2 years, I was so enamored with this game that sometimes I'd just look up Metaton X Papyrus comic dub, and that's how I'd spend my day. Low-key, there was one time where I had trouble finding comic dubs that I hadn't already watched. The Undertale fandom is pretty notorious for just being kind of a lot. Like, we got the comics and these crazy fully formed alternate universes and ship art and Ask Drunk Kara and Undertale songs with lyrics and Undertale feels realistic and human. I remember your genocides, or I'm Wayne Gaster, the royal scientist, or Toriel porn, or God forbid Frisk porn. Like, my experience with the fandom hasn't been particularly bad. I mean, that last one, but it's just a lot. Anyways, I was a fan of Undertale until like 2018 when I decided, you know, I'm 13, basically an adult, and I don't need to be a fan of this stupid game for babies that doesn't even say fuck. And I just kind of let Undertale and its fandom go. I didn't like actively avoid or abandon it. I officially played Undertale for the first time in 2022. I played Deltarune Chapter 2 when it released, but I just didn't connect with it, you know? I watched Sans Christmas comic dubs in middle school. I understand Deltarune as a concept, but these fucking kids saying Gast is involved? Like, I would just be the type of guy to say, you know how Rousey says at the end of the Spam to Neo section that maybe that whole thing didn't mean anything? Maybe we ought to have listened to him about that. I always thought of my Undertale phase as this baby's first fandom that was cute and nice, but now it just ought to be left behind. Well, it's back! Deltarune Chapters 3 and 4 released to player counts that are 12 times higher than Undertale's peak player count, and once every week or so there will be a 24-hour peak that is just casually higher than Undertale's all-time peak. Not to say that this game is more popular than Undertale, I think you need a bit more than player counts to say something like that.
Undertale. That is a great game. It took me forever to beat Sans.
But at the very least, this is the most eyes that have ever been on Deltarune, which is great because all of these people are seeing Deltarune at its absolute best. Not only that, but when I say it's back, it's back! My love for Undertale has been rekindled, my love for Deltarune has been extremely kindled, and I'm back into fandom, baby. One small hair, instead of being an 11-year-old kid, I am a 20-year-old grown-ass man. But, you know, that's actually kind of embarrassing.
Dude, what the f***? Why are you f***ing here, man? You're so old.
Essentially, what I want to do here is have this stream of consciousness video about my thoughts on the chapter, the fandom, fucking everything. Because I don't know anyone personally who plays Deltarune, and I just need these thoughts to be heard by someone. Anyone. This YouTube channel is my vent channel on a Discord server. Spoilers for, let's say, all of Undertale and Deltarune. Not that I'm gonna spoil the whole plot, but you will have no fucking clue what I'm talking about unless you have intimate knowledge of all of these games. But I will give these context boxes if I'm discussing something a little bit more niche and in-house. But if you don't know the game, you will be confused. Okay, before I get started, I do want to give some context to people who don't know the franchise, just so you're not completely lost. But this is pretty much all of the spoken context that I'm going to give in this video. Deltarune is like Undertale, but different. Undertale is, we don't have time for this. Here are the most important characters for this video. Chris, the silent protagonist that you control in-universe with the soul, who has a personality of their own. Susie, a lizard girl bully turned friend who's just a cool cat now. Rousey, goat boy Prince of Darkness that only appears in the Dark World, which we'll get to. And Noelle, reindeer girl next door who is also your former childhood friend. Here are a bunch more characters if you're interested. In this universe, there are two worlds. The light world, which is just the normal everyday world, and the dark world, which is formed by a dark fountain, which is made by stabbing the earth with a sharp object with the intent to make a dark fountain, and the fountain makes everyday objects come to life. Basically, think of it like this. The dark fountain exudes darkness and manipulates reality to turn everyday objects into silly little characters, like Trashy. Okay, that's all the explanation you get. Before I even discuss the new chapters, I want to say something. I, for the time being, cannot say that Deltarune is better than Undertale because it's not a finished product yet. For all I know, Chapter 7 will end with you fighting the betrayer Ralsei, and then you walk through the locked door in Castletown and end up in Undertale. I have faith that Toby will write a good ending because we'll get to that, but for now, I just can't say that it's better. Now, is Deltarune in its current form a better game than Undertale? Maybe. The thing about Undertale is that what makes it such a good game is different from what makes Deltarune good. Like, Deltarune handedly beats out Undertale in terms of comedy and gameplay, but Undertale has other things going for it. I mean, like, firstly, the idea of a non-violent RPG was, unless I'm mistaken, pretty revolutionary for the time. So the points that Deltarune gets for doing similar things is reduced because it's less original. But also, I'd argue that a large part of what made Undertale as cool as it was were the secrets. Like, think about this. If you want to get into Sans' room, you have to go to the Judgment Hall, save, receive your judgment, reload the game, listen to Sans talk some more but with some new stuff because he remembers, reload your save again, listen to Sans say a little bit more, reload your save again, and then you get the key to Sans' room, which does turn out to be a troll, but in that room you get the silver key, which opens the back door to Sans and Papyrus' house, which might be one of the most important rooms in all of Undertale and Deltarune. Isn't it just a bit nuts that one of the craziest, most lore important things in the game requires you to do all of that? Fun value is also a really cool thing. How delightful that someone can call you looking for Gaster and then sing the wrong number song about it. Or you can see this kid pondering about a reality where they don't exist. Neat. Deltarune doesn't have that. It doesn't have a fun value, it doesn't have these crazy secrets or hidden dialogue tied to reloading your game. I mean, don't get me wrong, the game has secrets, but those secrets were all data mined day free, and because of how big the community is, they've all been endlessly reported on. Now, I don't want to say that they took the fun out of having secrets in the game, so, I mean, here.
They took the fun out of having secrets.
Also, I'd argue that Undertale has a better cast of characters than Deltarune. Like, Sans from Undertale is still my favorite character in all of Deltarune / Undertale. So for now, I'd have to say, I don't know if Deltarune is better. Peep the video I make when Chapter 7 comes out. Okay, enough rambling. Chapter 3. Chapter 3 is great. I know that this is largely the most criticized chapter because not every scene is dedicated to telling you the lore about the prophecy or Cherio, but goddammit, this chapter is just fun. I will say, this chapter is the only chapter I have legitimate criticism on. First, not really a criticism, but it did irk me that the first 2 hours or so are dedicated to this retro game when I've already waited like 4 years for more Deltarune, but that just annoyed me in my first playthrough. I appreciate it now. But second, in my first playthrough, I did not know that the S rank room was as important as it was, and I only got A rank on board 1. So when I got S rank on board 2 and went into the room and found out that I couldn't go to the ice door because it didn't get S rank on board 1, that really annoyed me. And that just shouldn't be how a game makes you feel. Tying the Shadow Crystal route behind the S rank room when one might not know how important that is just not amazing game design. I mean, it does encourage replayability, so it's not a total loss. But my criticisms start and end there. The NES game is great, the minigames are fantastic, the TV World section might be better than Queen's Mansion, it's just such a goddamn fun time. And not to mention Tenna, who, let's be honest, is a pretty similar character to Spamton in terms of humor. Saying silly esoteric things, being kinda insane and unhinged guys, just pretty similar characters all around. But I still find that Tenna is able to be funny in his own way without just feeling like Spamton too, which I just find extremely impressive that you can have two characters that are so similar, but also so unique at the same time. I truly believe this is one of Toby Fox's greatest writing feats. The Tenna boss is probably the worst final boss in all the chapters, but gameplay wise, this is the best chapter, and there is one specific thing that pulls it over the edge, and it is the fight with the knight. This is the best fight in the whole game, bar none. I mean, some fights get pretty close, but this fight is made to be the best purely because of the action economy. Oh wait, I haven't talked about Deltarune's fighting system. This might take a while. Deltarune's fighting system is so goddamn cool, and I'll be honest, leaps and bounds better than Undertale's fighting system could ever be. So here's what you need to know. You have 3 party members. Chris, who is able to act, Susie, who is a bit more beefy and can do big damage with Rude Buster, and can also do good healing circa chapter 4, and Ralsei, who is able to heal with less TP and is just generally more squishy than the other party members. Ralsei and Susie can also act circa chapter 2. Each act gives an enemy a certain amount of mercy percentage circa chapter chapter 2, meaning that unlike Undertale's bosses where you just press the spare button until you exhaust the dialogue, every single move counts. But I haven't even gotten to the best part of the system. Tension points. TP can be gained by grazing bullets, attacking, or defending. TP is used for casting magic in the game, and it takes it from a I just gotta get as far away from every bullet as possible to, well, if I sit here and gain TP from one of these easy to graze attacks, I can act with Chris and Susie, and then Ralsei can do a heal prayer, and the next turn we can all defend and then gain TP to do one of the more beefy acts. It's a super dynamic fighting system. It's so dynamic and so interesting, even the order that the turns go. Chris, Susie, Ralsei. In the Jevil fight, Axe to Tire Jevil require TP, but because Chris has to go first, you can't do a thing that you do with Ralsei where you defend to gain TP to cast their magic, because Chris has to go first. And the fact that Heal Prayer is 32 TP, aka the exact amount of TP you get from 2 defend actions, is really fucking good game design. Not to mention, oh shit, Chris is down this turn, so we should focus on efforts on getting Chris back up so they can continue to act. It's just really sublime. Oh yeah, the Roaring Knight fight. The fight with the Roaring Knight really flips the whole action economy on its head, because usually Susie is the least important person to keep up. Her healing is expensive, and if you're playing the game in the way that it's mostly intended, you're not fighting. But the fight with the Knight forces you to fight, and Susie's Rude Buster does so much more damage than any of the other party members' attacks. In fact, Chris's role is also flipped on their head because their fighting is very bad when the whole party is up, and they can only act in a useful way once per battle. So Chris goes from being this attacker/actor to just being someone who should defend or use healing items every turn because it's more useful than the pitiful damage they output when the whole party's up. But not even the action economy, this fight is just straight up fun. It's hard, probably as difficult as Sans, especially given the fact that every cumulative third of HP that you lose can lead to you becoming significantly less effective until you can get that party member up. And if that third is Susie, you're cooked unless you have revive items. The attacks are really fun once you learn them. The theme is fucking phenomenal. The knight looks cool as hell. Just a super great battle. Absolutely love it. Chapter 3 is great. Chapter 4 is the best chapter so far. You can argue that maybe Chapter 2 is better because of how funny it is, but like, come on people. First, the format change in Chapter 4 is something the franchise desperately needed. Technically, Chapter 3 also changed the format, but just listen, okay? Chapter 1 and 2 both follow the format of go to school, go to Dark World, exit Dark World, and talk to people in hometown, and then Chris goes home and does some scary shit. Chapter 4 changes this up completely with an extended section in hometown that actually moves the story forward, then going to the Dark World, then coming out, then making a new Dark World, then going to the final Dark World, and then going home. It's a change that was needed in Deltarune, but the best part is, it's not like the format was exhausted after Chapter 2, but if they made Chapter 3 and 4 also the same format, then it would become repetitive. The format change happened exactly when it needed to. But also for Chapter 4, you have the story, these emotional ass scenes. Like, I don't cry. I haven't cried for real in like 6 years. I have a problem. But this chapter made me tear up like 4 times. It's just so fucking beautiful. The climbing sections are fun as hell. The Jackenstein fight is great. The Titan fight is the best final boss we've had in any of these chapters. The Mike fight is really fun. And we also have Gerson motherfucking boom! Gerson is my 4th favorite character in Deltarune so far. Who are the other 3? Well, number 3 is Spamton. He's just so funny and conceptually fascinating. And for numbers 1 and 2, listen. As of right now, Susie is the best character. She's so needlessly heroic and silly and just good. But Asgore? If Chapter 5 story development works out and we learn a bunch more about Asgore, I could easily see him becoming the best character. But for now, number 2 is Asgore, and 1 is Susie. But forget about all of that, because Gerson is just such a breath of fresh air in this chapter. This chapter's whole theme is prophecy, and honestly, this chapter is pretty fucking bleak. There's this cloud that looms over the whole chapter about what the prophecy dictates that obviously comes to a climax at the end of the chapter. And Gerson is just such a beautiful addition to this chapter. He represents breaking free of the prophecy and making your own destiny. And in a chapter that spells out that some large tragedy is going to happen at the end of the prophecy, it's really good. He's also just so cool and wise. Like, God, I just fucking love Gerson, man. He's probably not gonna show up in future chapters, which, sad, but I really fucking love him. Chapter 4 is the best chapter we have, and I'm not even scared of Toby following this up, because after what I've seen in this chapter, I have 1000% confidence that he knows what he's doing. And the music in both of these chapters, Jesus Christ. I don't want to be hasty, but the Chapter 3 and 4 soundtrack might be the best soundtrack Toby has ever released. All of these songs are fucking great. A Dark Zone, Dark Sanctuary, TV World, and now for today's sponsors, Ever Higher, Dump. I really like Dump, it's so fucking catchy. Like, every single track here is at least an 8 out of 10. And this album also has the most masterpiece tracks in any piece of work Toby has ever released. Rooter Buster, It's TV Time, Black Knife, A Dark Zone, The Third Sanctuary, Guardian, and Cat Swing. And compare that to the other albums where we have 3, 2, and Undertale does have 6, but also this album is more densely packed with good songs. Like, think about this, I've toyed with the idea of listening to video game OSTs in my everyday life, but usually I just do it for a week and then go back to my rap. I've been bumping Toby Fox music for like 2 months now. In fact, Tricky Tony might end up on my Spotify Wrapped, which if he does, I'll post it to my Instagram story. Follow my Instagram. In conclusion, Chapter 3 and 4 is some of the best shit that Deltarune has to offer and are both masterpieces. Okay, I was gonna talk about the fandom, but can I talk about Undertale Yellow for a while? Spoilers for Undertale Yellow, obviously. Undertale Yellow is like the Undertale fan game. It's been approved by Toby himself, and it is an expansion into the universe of Undertale and its past. And I think it's great. The story is great, the combat is usually fun, and the quality of life features do in fact improve my quality of life, and it's just all around a good time. But no, Sibbles, I do not think Undertale Yellow is perfect. In fact, I think it's quite flawed. The characters do not nearly reach the highs that Undertale's cast did. I do love Martlet, Starlow's good, Sorova is okay, I don't give a fuck about dolls. This cat is pretty cool. The Feisty 5 have cool character designs despite not doing anything most of the time, and I'll be honest, I could take or leave the rest. The music I just find to be completely inferior to Undertale's soundtrack. Like, the only songs I really love are Moe's theme, Martlet's themes, Zenith Martlet's theme, all of Soroba's themes, the Feisty 5 theme, Starlow's theme, Enemy Retreating, and that's really it. The rest of the tracks are just pretty okay to great. It's genuinely a great soundtrack, but like, you're competing with Undertale. Sorry if you feel a bit harshly judged. The humor is also just not at its best capacity. It feels like it's trying to imitate Toby's witty style, and sometimes it works, but most of the time it just falls flat. Like, it's not awful writing, but also it's not as good as Undertale. And oh man, the genocide route is not good. And to properly explain why I think this is a bad take on a genocide route, let me tell you what I like about Undertale's genocide. Undertale puts a lot of work into making this route feel unnerving and scary, aside from the fact that you're trying to eliminate the whole monster race. Here's a few. The genocide route is by far the shortest route in Undertale. Most of the puzzles are solved by Flowey, and there are only 2 real bosses, who are crazy hard. With every other boss, the boss chooses not to fight you, and you have to cleave them down, doing a crazy amount of damage. You have to make the decision to kill these people who are probably your friends in a past playthrough, just so you can get more out of the game. Secondly, this route also has you make difficult decisions that are not present in any other route, like shit that genuinely feels fucked. Like the Mad Dummy. One of the more annoying bosses in the normal routes, due to their motivation and general demeanor, turns into the Glad Dummy and fully fuses into their dummy body. They have no quarrel with you, but you have to kill them just for the route. You also have an encounter with Monster Kid, which doesn't end with you killing him, but when you open that fight button, you are opening up a universe where you kill this innocent kid. You don't, but you swung with the intention to kill. This route is so good at fucking with your head, making you ask yourself, is it worth killing all of these monsters just for some unique text boxes? And may I say, I love how shops work in this route, especially Burger Pants and Gerson, with Gerson pretty much being a hero by stalling and taunting you because he somehow knows that by making a shop he is safe from your violence, and Burger Pants going into work because, well, he doesn't know if he's supposed to or not. He can't risk losing his job even if that means risking his life. Like, he literally drops his hardest line in this route. I can't go to hell. I'm all out of vacation days. Banger! The genocide route works so well because you feel like this unstoppable force of nature who doesn't care about morals or anything, just getting stronger. I haven't even played it because the whole thing is just so uncomfortable. Undertale Yellow's genocide doesn't have any of that. I rarely found myself feeling challenged or made uncomfortable by the choices I was making. I mean, I felt a little bit bad when killing enemies. I felt bad when killing El Bailador, who is optional in this route, and somehow his genocide fight is so much more effective than almost every other fight. And hunting down Axis also made me feel bad. The Steamworks was executed well in terms of making you feel like an absolute monster. Killing Starlo was sad. That's about it. This route doesn't have any of that feeling of cruising through. It doesn't solve puzzles for you until the last section, so fuck yeah, I got to do this lava ball puzzle for a third time. All of the shopkeepers are just gone, and you generally feel less strong. Like in the final boss of the game, which we'll get to, you're still only outputting like 60 damage. Which is fine, that's cool. I've heard the explanation of Frisk is using determination to destroy these monsters, and Clover wants justice. But if you can't replace that eerie feeling of being a force of nature and destruction with something equally as uncomfortable, then it's just a net loss. Like, okay, this'll be a bit convoluted, but just stay with me. Say I walk into a pizzeria and I'm like, I'd like a large meat lover's pizza, please. Pepperoni, bacon, sausage, all the meats. And the cashier says, well, actually, we don't serve sausage here. Why? Well, we are descendants of Giuliano Fortissimo, who was assassinated with a piece of sausage that turned out to be poisoned. And since then, there has been a superstition that it's bad luck for those descendants to use sausage in their cooking. Oh, that's very interesting. Is there anything else you have here that a normal pizzeria wouldn't have? You know, to set yourselves apart? No. Okay. I'd still like the sausage though. Like, yeah, that's a cool explanation to why you don't have sausage on the pizza. I'd still like sausage on the pizza, and I think in the future I'm gonna go to the pizzeria down the street. Actually, I don't think I will, because that pizzeria makes me uncomfortable. To give credit, it does try to give a replacement. I do not think it succeeds at all. The shops are just, oh, we're closed. Look at how effective this is. We're closed for the 7th time. Ooh, isn't that scary? I mean, I guess this vending machine is still sentient, and I got my hopes up for a second, but there's still no talk option, so it's just the same. And the way they handled bosses in this route, Jesus Christ, man. Undertale, which is longer than Undertale Yellow by the way, has only 2 bosses in the genocide route and skips like 5 of them. Undertale Yellow skips only 2 bosses, Starlo and the Gardener, who I did initially forget was skipped while writing this script because they are forgettable. The rest of them get the Undyne the Undying treatment, where they are going all out and trying their best in genocide. Just wait a second, damn. The 2 fights I enjoy here are Thorouba and Snowden Martlet. I do not like Axis or fucking Zenith Martlet. Like, I get it. Clover wants to bring out justice. Clover wants to fight. But if you're gonna take away so much away from the genocide route by not doing the ingenious thing of making you completely destroy someone who in a past playthrough was probably your friend instead of fighting them like normal, I just feel like it takes so much away from the route by doing it like this. It takes it from this eerie, awful experience to just a layman's description of Undertale's genocide. Yeah, you just kill all the monsters. The Axis fight is annoying because the whole gimmick is, let's do a bunch of orange and cyan attacks while other shit happens out of sync. Oh, so crazy. And the Zenith Martlet fight? Fuck this fight. Sans is the most famously difficult fight from Undertale. He's hard as fuck, but it always felt fair. Like, yeah, there was some bullshit, but most of the time it was just really precise. Zenith Martlet's difficulty comes from putting a bunch of shit on the screen, and also forcing you to dash and fire your pea shooter to deal damage. It just fucking overstimulates you. That's the difficulty. This fight sucks. It's hard in a way that feels so unfair. It has 2 phases, which I conveniently found out after I had used all my fucking items to get to the second phase, so I tried a few times and then I decided, you know what? Fuck this fight. I'm gonna see how the run ends. And then I saw Shay finish the genocide route, and you know what? I have 0 desire to finish off Zenith Martlet now. It's not that I hate challenge. I beat Ness, but Knight is my favorite fight in Deltarune right now. I like a good difficult fight. But this fight is just fucking bullshit and not fun. It's the worst fucking fight in the game. It's just such a fucking trough of slop! Now that being said, the genocide route still does some things right. I like how it's made pretty much impossible to accidentally enter genocide because of the way monster counts work by room instead of by area. I like the use of the enemy retreating track and how it continues to slow as you cleave down each enemy in the area. Also, the ending to the genocide route, I didn't get to see it personally, but I don't care. That shit goes hard. Like, this route is really good at making you feel bad for killing individual enemies. It just feels leagues away from the emotional impact that genocide provides in Undertale. Like, I think the best example of this to compare it to Undertale once more. When you kill Flowey in Genocide, it's actually kinda sad. To see Flowey, this evil creature, groveling at your feet, turning their face into Azrael's, begging for their life, it's scary! And in Undertale Yellow, Flowey just has this monologue about how much they hate you. It's closer to the impact of killing Flowey on neutral route, and I do in fact feel neutrally about it. This makes me feel nothing. Crazy that this game, a game that does Flowey so fucking right 90% of the time, decided that this was better than what Undertale did. Just imitate Undertale, man. You're already trying to do that with the writing. Undertale Yellow as a complete experience is great, a good time, and if you don't play Genocide, you're good. I know that this is a really beloved fan game, Sibbles, and I've always been a purveyor of the belief that you can like whatever the fuck you want, and as long as it doesn't promote like fucking kids or something, I have no issue with it. And if I'm inviting a hate mob by saying all this, so be it. But in my opinion, it does not hold anything resembling a candle to Undertale or any single Deltarune chapter. 7.5 out of 10. Jesus Christ, that was way too long.
We did way too much.
Ven y trata de golpearme si es que puedes. La clemencia es una opción que tú no tienes. Veo que te estás cansando de...
Yeah. If you guys are wondering, hey, Gug's voice sounds a little bit scratchy or voice cracky, this guy's the reason why. I saw him 3 days ago and my voice is still fucked. Fuck you, Tyler. So, I'm back into fandom. It genuinely does feel a little bit embarrassing because I had always thought of Undertale as this immature preteen thing that I would have grown out of, and here I am at age 20. Yikes. With that aside, I feel like my fandom experience now is better than it was in 2016. Like, I feel a lot more involved. I was like 11 in 2016. I was not on social media. No Instagram, no Twitter. Only YouTube, and I've already specifically talked about what I watched on YouTube. But now, I genuinely love looking at all the fan art and memes. Just, I can't watch comic dubs again. No, I can't go back, I can't go back. Like, I feel like nowadays, the fandom is a lot more cool and less esoteric and lame. Like, look at this shit. Isn't this awesome? This shit isn't Tammy Flakes, it's cool and badass and hip as hell. One of my traditions when a new Deltarune chapter would release would be to watch a Let's Play of it because I want to see other people experience and react to Peak. And my Let's Play of choice was Jacksepticeye, but then people decided that they had to get weird about how he didn't like the game enough, so he stopped playing. So who do I watch now? Motherfucking Snap Penny. And I'll be honest, this is better. I enjoy how much Penny really gets Deltarune. She gets why it's good, she gets the lore, and with Jack, all you really have is...
Uh-oh. Are we possessed as Kara?
What the fuck?
I also think she's profoundly funny and just very cool, because she references Better Call Saul and Game Changer. God, she's so badass. On another note, remember those Undertale songs with lyrics I mentioned at the beginning? Well, I don't feel like I can add more than what Shazington has already said about them. Yes. Every video. Like, yeah, these tracks were not meant to have lyrics, so giving them lyrics is gonna sound awkward and lame. No, I'm not here to criticize them. I'm here to point out that man on the internet ingrained this style of video so deeply into the Undertale community that there are now a bunch of Deltarune songs with lyrics. Man on the internet has kind of stopped doing this style of video with Deltarune songs, and our main player nowadays is Juno Songs. And can I be honest? These aren't half bad. It's not like I like them, but they just do something that's really necessary when doing something like this, and sometimes they treat the song more like a backing track instead of following it to the point that the flow becomes awkward. I mean, don't get me wrong, it still has that problem. That problem is ingrained in the entire genre, but like, this TV Time cover is pretty okay. The Dark Zone cover is also pretty okay. Also worth mentioning, the lyrics are just kinda good. Overall, Juno, you aren't bad. I found myself not actually hating these as much as I thought I would. This Hammer of Justice cover isn't good overall, but there's nothing I can point to specifically that makes it bad. It's just kinda mid. I don't know, can we get the punching bag back in here? Up and down and up and down. Like, come on, you make it too easy, man. Wait. Enemy retreating? How the fuck do you make that song have lyrics? No hope for mercy, they just fire away. True. It's not hilariously bad, it's just mediocre at best. Hey guys, it's me. It's the guy editing this video. I love how I said that man on the internet doesn't make Deltarune songs anymore. And you know, obviously the reason I said that is at the time of writing, that didn't exist. But like vocal cover, fucking 4 months ago, Undertale, like he hasn't really made anything, but now they got Deltarune but not musical. He's back. so excited! I mean, hey, I've seen some bad stuff. This one in particular is a real stinker.
Breaking the toothpaste to the truth fade until you hang in the roots out in the darkness, body to die unto.
But most of this stuff is just kinda not great and doesn't really lend itself well to a commentary video. Like, legitimately, the only ones I can think of in this style that I really like are the ones that are about Asgore running over death. The only way I find myself actually enjoying these is when they try to make it funny. And that's because I think there's something inherently funny to singing along to a video game boss theme in character as that boss. The only feelings I can get out of this is humor or, man, that sounds pretty good. And you're not gonna get that out of me with this fucking edgy ass cover of Black Knife or Jebel up and down and up and... You're not gonna make me feel sad when you go, your determination fail, you build it with love, I can tell. I'm just gonna be kinda dumbfounded how you thought that would resonate with me. I'm not knocking the genre. Clearly it resonates with a bunch of people, but the genre is so not for me that whenever they try to do emotions, I'm just left kind of confused. Legitimately no hate to any of these creators. Man, on the internet, you're great. When I was a kid, I listened to Death by Glamour, you are enamored. Oh wait, you didn't make that one. You're still good. In conclusion, Juno, you're good, and whenever someone makes a joke parody cover of a Deltarune song, it gets a laugh out of me. Who is the Roaring Knight? That's the big question on the fandom's mind, except they've all already made up their mind that it's Death. For the longest time, I was a purveyor of Carol being the Knight because there was actual evidence, but then the Death Camp stopped talking about parallels and how cool it would be narratively for 10 seconds and found evidence. So now I believe that Death is the Knight. But I've also seen the sentiment that if Death isn't the Knight, the game will suck. And in the most disrespectful terms, did we play the same fucking chapters? Look at this scene, this animation, look at how good the dialogue is in this chapter, and you're telling me you are not confident in Toby Fox's writing? Like, this pisses me off, because after the quality of writing I've seen in this chapter, Toby could make the Roaring Knight fucking Birdly, and I still believe he could make it good. Your admittedly interesting fanon isn't the only way something can be written well. You know, speaking of Roaring Knight, I was gonna leave it out of the video, but then I saw an Instagram comment section that reminded me why I care about this so much. So, because we fight the Roaring Knight at the end of chapter 3, the big fandom joke is that the Roaring Knight is a fraud. Haha, we're the main villain of the story and we beat them in chapter 3, lol, they suck. And this is honestly kind of funny. I like the joke of it all. But when I hear people legitimately saying stuff like, the Roaring Knight is not strong, and they only beat us because they played dirty, we probably could have beaten them, and look, there's dialogue for if you no-hit the Roaring Knight, so that means we're not strong. Shut the fuck up! Before my big trump card on why I think this argument is stupid from a lore perspective, let me also tell you why I think you're wrong. Firstly, yeah, the Knight fight is an easy fight now, because he took 30 tries to beat it, and you know the fight now. I beat the Knight, and it took me a long time, like 2 hours 30, and then I saw someone on Twitter saying, the Roaring Knight fight isn't nearly as difficult as Sans, so then I went to go fight Sans on Bad Time Simulator with like 30 minutes of experience on a Scratch Simulator 2 years ago, and he took me like 3 hours. The Roaring Knight is no slouch. I know some people were able to beat them quickly, somehow, but this is clearly meant to be a crazy hard boss. Furthermore, just because you can no-hit the Knight and it gives special dialogue doesn't mean that that run is canon, it's a fucking game. Like, I feel like this is such a bullshit power scaler argument of, well, technically the Fun Gang does have the feat of no-hitting the Knight in 1 in a billion timelines, so technically they are stronger. No, it means you're good at the game and your character has the overpowered ability to reset timelines, which I feel like we should suspend our disbelief about for a bit because it is a game. Like, favor the Deltarune TV show somehow. The Knight fight would almost certainly end with the forced loss most people thought this fight was. Physically, if we're not controlling them, the Fun Gang would be dead where they stood. But oh wait, they wouldn't because the Knight doesn't kill them and is almost certainly holding back. You're telling me they dealt over 5,000 damage to Tana and only 100 to the Fun Gang? Be real now. And before you try to do the whole thing of, oh, you can't read, you're an Undertale fan. Didn't you know that monsters take more damage if you hit them by surprise over sparing you? Well, Tana isn't a monster. He's a Darkner, and Darkners don't have those same properties. Maybe you can add like a bit of surprise attack damage, but 5,000 damage is nothing to turn your nose at. And they don't kill him at the end because, according to King, it's a rare moment of mercy. The Knight wants us alive, and that's a much more interesting way of going about it than the other argument of, yeah, the Knight is just kinda weak and a non-issue. The Knight has the jump on us multiple times in chapter 4, but does not kill us because they want us alive. Why? That's the intriguing part. The Roaring Night could cause the roaring so fucking easily. Just make like 30 fountains in 10 minutes and boom, the world is over. They are doing things very intentionally. Anyways, back to the fucking argument. Let me be clear. When we beat the night, they are only at 75% health. But also, what in-universe knowledge do we possess to know that this is for sure an accurate health bar? Why do we think that this is definitely accurate? Does Chris have a fucking scouter or something? Also, the only reason the night played dirty isn't because they knew it was the only way they could win. They did it so that Toria wouldn't wake up, which Tenna implied multiple times would be a bad thing. But finally, take away all of that argument. Would you roaring fraud fucks prefer that we didn't get the best fight in the game with one of the best tracks in the OST and sick ass flavor text and all of that? Would you instead prefer that this was just like a 1 minute long forced lost cutscene that completely wastes the Black Knife track? Would you really prefer that the main villain of the story is just kinda nothing in terms of power and that the tension of any scene that they're in is brought down tenfold? You know, this is where I can relate to someone who says Deltarune fans want their game to suck. Cause if you're legitimately arguing that the night is weak, you want the game to be worse! Like, I like the joke. I mean, if we're being honest, the joke is overdone as fuck. But holy shit, this is just so much worse for the story. Tangentially, that's how I feel about a lot of the more out there theories. Woody theory, chess theory. Why the fuck would you want these to be real if they're so fucking stupid? Woody from Toy Story being in Deltarune would be fucking stupid! I personally hope that we fight the night again in another chapter and they're a lot stronger and the fight is a lot harder and we finally get a fight in Undertale / Deltarune that is harder than Sans. Not you! You know, it seems like we're in the negative portion of this video, so let me get mad at someone's commentary video. You know what? No. This made big waves on Twitter when it dropped, but I don't want to talk about a video that has cropped Noel rape porn. I don't want to engage with someone like that with their bad faith arguments. Fuck you, dude. So... you know how I talked about game theory for like 3 seconds in my last fandom video? You mind if I do that for a lot longer? MatPat is pretty famous in the Undertale and Deltarune community for having a theory that is famously shit and having a theory that was proved wrong pretty much immediately. Let's start with you, Ness. This theory sucks. It's bad in its execution and reasoning and everything. It's just not good. But I'm not here to tell you why this theory is bad. Watch the video yourself and see how shitty his rationalizations are. I'm here to talk about how amazing it is that MatPat was able to construct a theory that specifically pissed off as many people as possible. This theory is the perfect fucking shitstorm. Firstly, he mentions in the beginning of the video how this is one of his most requested theories ever, and instead of earnestly engaging with any of the mysteries in this game, he decides he just wants to talk about Earthbound. Like, it's just absurd, really not helped by the fact that he mentions multiple times in this video how he just loves Earthbound, which really makes it feel like he just wants to talk about Earthbound for 17 minutes. Making one of your most requested theories a theory where the game you're supposed to be talking about gets sidelined by Earthbound, yeah, I can see why people were a bit chuffed. Also in this theory, he mentions how Gaster exists and how none of the theories behind Gaster really tie everything together for me. And then presents this stupid ass theory about how Sans is Ness and the back room has a broken phase distorter and the picture in the drawer is of Earthbound people. Do you not see how insane this is? And then MatPat ties it all together by making Toby Fox himself mad by trying to tie his old ass Earthbound ROM hack to Undertale. Which then prompted Toby to go to Twitter and, well, he doesn't seem very happy. MatPat found a way to make everybody mad. Undertale fans, Earthbound fans, theorists, Toby Fox himself, everybody! And in his next theory on Undertale, he did express how he was disheartened by all the hate he got on it, and let me be clear, my feelings towards this theory are it's silly and fun to make fun of, but I don't hate MatPat for it. And if people were giving him legit hate on it, I think that's dumb. If you want to know my feelings on this, it's pretty much the incarnation of the Steven Universe Sans comic. But also, this drama is fucking old, and Matt has clearly moved on from it by now, so enough Ness. So how are the rest of his Undertale theories? Like, his theories on Gaster are really convincing, even though I know that they're wrong. Like, that's the thing with MatPat. He's really fucking good at being convincing. It's probably how he was able to single-handedly ruin FNAF discourse forever. Like, when I hear him say something like, Sans and Papyrus are the split versions of WD Gaster, with Sans being the more analytical and linguistic side of Gaster, the left brain, and Papyrus being the more emotional and physical part of Gaster, the right brain. The two fonts that make up his name, Wingdings and Aster, can also be seen as parallels to Papyrus and Sans' goofy nature and more cerebral personalities, respectively. Also, here's a bunch of lore to prove it. And I hear shit like that and think, wow, He might be right if he wasn't basing most of this theory on entry 17 talking about the determination extractor when he's definitely talking about Dark Worlds. Like, that's the sad part. Matt's playing with only half of the pieces because there's no Deltarune to work with. He's able to make something that makes sense and is convincing, but like, I already know that it's wrong. Moving on, how are his Deltarune theories? Oh boy. With the knowledge I have now, I can confidently say that his first Deltarune theory fucking blows. Like, almost all of the claims he makes are wrong. The Dark World is not some sort of D&D game, and Ralsei is not Asriel. And I laughed out loud when he said Asriel was the knight and did not give any explanation before or after on who the knight was. In chapter 1, the knight is a pretty hidden character, and he just does not explain it. Also, he does this weird thing that instead of using Chris's preferred pronouns, he cycles between he and she.
Through her, so it is for her, though.
Like, maybe you're trying to make a point, but also it's just confusing for no reason. But to give him credit, his other Deltarune theories aren't bad. Like, he gets really close to the fact that Sans does travel between Undertale and Deltarune, he just got it the wrong way around. And he even figures out Gaster pretty quickly. Like, even his newest theory is not immediately disproven by chapter 3 and 4. I don't want to give MatPat too much credit for not being completely wrong because that should be what his job is, but considering that we basically started out with Dream Theory, this is a lot better. I know there's a new Deltarune theory, but MatPat didn't make it, so I don't want to watch it. And I'm not one of those people who are like, oh, game theory is so bad now that MatPat is gone. I assure you they had absolutely no issue uploading absolute slop when MatPat was around. I just like MatPat's presentation style better, and I don't give a fuck about this new guy. Overall, a lot more plausible than the Pizza Tower theory. And MatPat, I wish you a happy retirement being a congressman or whatever you're doing now. Fuck, I thought I'd have more to say. Lightning round. I love Chris and Susie's friendship. It's nice, and seeing all the fan art of it just fills my heart with great, great joy. It also makes me slightly scared for the inevitable confrontation that Chris and Susie will have, but I'm just not gonna think about that right now. My wish list for chapter 5 would be character development for Asgore, the inclusion of a new Lightner in the Dark World, with my top picks being Jockington or Sans, character development for Ralsei, who at this point in the story is at an all-time low, more clues as to who the Roaring Knight is, the option to pursue Birdley because it's funny, some inclusions of Spamton and Gerson, or maybe even Jevil, and more weird route stuff. Wait, I forgot to talk about the weird route. As someone who just ranted for like 6 minutes about what I liked about Undertale's genocide route and didn't like about Undertale Yellow's genocide route because I'm fucked up and twisted in the head, do I think that this is a good take on a genocide route? Yeah. Let me be clear. What I think a genocide route should do is make you feel uncomfortable with the choices you are making, and Deltarune's weird route does that in spades, especially in chapter 4. If I had to say which route is more effective, I'd probably still give it to Undertale's genocide because there's a lot more uncomfortable moments in there, but the weird route is not far behind and could very easily overtake it by the next chapter. It's also cool how they were able to create the same weird and uncomfortable vibe while not having it just be Susie saying, "Let's start killing some monsters." Like, this scene is amazing. I mean, it's awful. It's really, really bad, but it's executed really well. Also, I enjoy how much more difficult it is to enter this route naturally. You have to do so much stuff so specifically that you are 100% looking to enter this route, unlike Genocide, which is achieved by playing the RPG like RPGs are usually played. Not to say that the Genocide is bad in that aspect, but the weird route is just really interesting. Interested to see where it goes from here. I guess we're in a section of the video where I rate memes from the Deltarune community. Asgore running over death with his truck. I still like this meme despite the fact that it's overdone. I like it. I like how it integrates Death and her lost nature in a really funny way. I still think it's funny. Maybe people bring it up a bit too much whenever Asgore and Death are brought up, but also, who fucking cares? The evil ass Dark Fountain Openers group chat. I also think this is funny. I haven't seen it done as much, but it's funny. Good job. Cuckel. Bad. Making a joke about a minor getting cucked isn't funny. It's bad. Next, Gaster as a concept and jokes about him. Funny. Like, there's a lot of jokes around Gaster about how he's just like a super fan of Chris or just playing dolls with the Lightners, or how he's so omnipresent in the game and everything is some Gaster shit. It's funny. And before you ask, yes, I think Gaster is extremely relevant to Deltarune. And if you don't even think Gaster is relevant to Deltarune at all, you don't know that much about Gaster. I mean, look at the Goner, the Bunker Sound, the Version, the fucking garbage noise. He's important, guys. Last one, Togor Dreamer. I fuck with it. I know a lot of people are pretty bored of Graggle Simpson type jokes, but I think this is funny. It's pretty fresh at time of recording. It's good. Is my word count high enough now? Being in the Deltarune fandom is just as I remember it in 2016. 50% of the time, I'm loving the cute art and memes and music that is being put out by the fandom, and the other 50% of the time I'm like, guys, hey, Spamton's not a pedophile. Stop saying that people can't read for not remembering a very specific piece of dialogue. Can we fucking cool it? I've had this theory for a while that overall, every fandom is just bad. Like, I've personally never been a part of a fandom where I was enjoying myself more than 50% of the time. 50% is honestly a perfect score because how shitty certain subsects will always be. One last half-baked tangent before my final spiel. Okay, so, I saw that when chapters 3 and 4 released, there were some complaints about how Toriel wasn't really utilized well in the Dark World, or the Mike fight was just kind of a letdown when it came to finishing off the Mike plot. And I think the interesting thing is that most casual players wouldn't really have those thoughts. They wouldn't play through chapters 3 and 4 and be like, what the heck? Why isn't Torio awake and casting Firegrave? Is she stupid? Or, gosh, I was really interested in who Mike was and Tony made him into a joke. Shame on you, Tony. Because they didn't go through the 3 years of psychosis and echo chamber of hype that the big fans did. Not to say that those opinions are inherently invalid, but okay, listen. Deltarune fans don't go insane like other fandoms when they don't have content for 2 months. Actually, no, we are also going insane. Deltarune fans don't just go insane when they don't have new content, they also create their own content. It's like Undertale all over again. Ever heard of Underfell? Well, I mentioned Underfell in my Pizza Tower video and I mischaracterized it, and I'm so sorry! I've been seeing a lot of Chapter 5 predictions and concepts. Like, it's universally agreed that the Dark World will be in Asgore's flower shop. People are predicting a Sans and Rousey character development battle, like with Susie and Gerson, Jockington revealing themselves as an Image Friend Skinwalker, the Knight revealing themselves as Death, Azrael showing up, the Flowers turning into the Sixth Fallen Humans, and as a member of a fandom, I do think that each of these have the possibility to happen individually, but I also know that the fandom is no stranger to being wrong with their predictions. So while I think that any one of these is honestly likely to happen, I think that it's very unlikely that all of these will happen. And then we'll have the same letdown conversation we did with Mike because we built hype around something fan-made. I'm already flinching at the post saying, isn't it a bit disappointing that Rousey and Sans didn't end up fighting? And while these are all cool concepts, not to bully Undertale Yellow again, but I think that game has taught me that Toby is always going to be the best person at writing these characters. I trust his writing implicitly. He has not let me down on a story level once, and the amount of times he's let me down in terms of gameplay, I could count on one finger. So going into chapter 5, don't forget, this is all fanon, and Toby's route will probably be much better. Putting aside that it is a bit embarrassing that I'm doing the same thing at age 20 as I was when I was 11, I'm so fucking happy, man. I love these games so much. I care about them more than any individual movie, TV show, or game. They're not even the best games or stories I've ever seen, but I fucking love these games, man. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I love these games, and I hope you liked the video. One last funny tidbit before I leave you. Jockington is slowly getting more brain damaged and is kind of funny and weird. Like, let's compare these two excerpts from Chapter 1 and Chapter 4. In Chapter 1, Chris, you know Jockington and Caddy are always partners. We're the ultimate academic duo, ever since our first gym class. It was hula hoop day, and they ran out of hoops for us. So she used me instead. That's our origin story. And in Chapter 4, Chris, fooled you. Haha, bet you thought I was Caddy. Today's game was wild. I think we won. What? Codes? Sorry, don't know that. Never did. Being real. For her, I go to the big church match as her substitute player. For me, she covered in hair always. We do what the other can't. What the fuck is that? Anyways, play me out. Oh my god. Hi, welcome to the outro. I might as well just let this be a longer one. I don't care anymore, man. First on the docket, I am actually a little bit scared to upload this video because if I know the Undertale and Deltarune community, and unfortunately I really do, opinions can be met with some piles of aggression. And look, man, I said it once and I'll say it again. You can feel however you want about anything. You can think that Undertale Yellow is better than anything Toby has ever made. You can think the Chapter 3 and 4 soundtrack is awful. You can think that Man on the Internet is a really, really great musical artist. I have no problem with other people thinking that. These are my opinions, and my opinions are mine. I can understand that some of the opinions I expressed a little bit, animatedly, or, in some cases poking fun. I don't have any animosity to any people I talked about in this video, except for the guy who made the cropped Noel big porn. Yeah, fuck that guy. That being said, you can think whatever you want, but if you're just gonna comment down below, I think Deltarune sucks, I don't feel like arguing with you. If you want me to argue with you, I'm probably not gonna. I don't feel like it most of the time. You might have noticed some new audio devices in this video. The lav, the handheld mic. And I understand, and I'm well aware that my microphone etiquette is god-awful, but this is my first official video working with those audio devices. I'm learning, and I'm growing. But also, please tell me, do these sound good? Please go back to one of my older videos and then come back and tell me, do these sound good or the same? Because I have been listening to this audio for so long cumulatively, I can't tell if it actually sounds good or I'm just gaslighting myself into thinking that it does. All that relevant to the video information aside, this is the most ambitious video I've ever made. It didn't turn out to be the longest like I thought it would, but I have put more work into this video than anything else I've ever made. Normal Boots, Better Call Saul, Animators, Sunday, this takes the fucking cake. This video was so crazy difficult. It was hard. It was really hard. And I hope views follow, but I can be proud of myself enough that I made this. Even though I've been working on it for so long, I know I say this for every video, I've been working on this for so long, I don't know if it's good. I can't tell you. I've probably spent 80 hours working on this thing in total. I don't know if it is good or if it is not. Yeah. Like, subscribe. Thank you so much for getting to here. Bye.